The term Chicano is a diverse and complex word, much like the people that it is intended to represent. Who is a Chicano? Where is a Chicano from? The term originates from the 1960s Chicano civil rights movement, which united Mexican American students, farm workers, and soldiers who were fighting for equality. Chicanos are those who are not fully Mexican or American. They are the in-between, those that are viewed as outsiders by both cultures. You may travel somewhere in Mexico, and you feel as if you're not as authentic as others, because you are accustomed to life in the US. You may travel to a city north of Laredo and be viewed as purely Mexican, when in reality you speak English very well and have lived in here your whole life. Chicano is a term for Mexican Americans who feel a slight disconnect from both countries, but at the same time are proud of having two cultures interweaved into one. It is a term that gives the subscriber a sense of self when other names cannot do justice.
I love being a Chicana because, as I mentioned before, it all came from Sandra Cisneros. When I read her book, I was very proud of being a Chicana, and ever since then, I've never considered it a bad thing at all, because you have two amazing cultures coming together in one person, and that's a great thing. How many people can say that they're that, you know? It's a wonderful thing to be. If anything, the only downside would be when I have to write essays for my tests and I forget a word in English or in Spanish, but I remember the word in the opposite language, so that presents a problem. Or I'll spell things that are meant to be spelled in English and Spanish. Like for one of my English essays, I wrote noviembre, but it's November.
I was born here in Laredo, Texas, at the old Mercy Hospital, but I actually lived in Nuevo Laredo. So I grew up in the 70s and as a teenager in the 80s, so I crossed the border every day to come to school. I went to San Agustin High School. Ursuline Elementary, and then later San Agustin. Today it's all San Agustin, elementary and high school. I think now in retrospect, I think it was actually a really unique experience, but I didn't know that at the time. You know, when I was a child or a teenager, I didn't know that I was having this very unique experience. It was only when I left to the University of Texas and then later to Ohio University, and I would tell my friends that I did that, or that my house was in Mexico but I lived, or I came to school in the United States, that I realized that that was unique and special, because they were all like, what? They didn't understand it. But for us being here, that's like daily activity, it's the norm, so now as an adult, I think that that's like a unique aspect of being from the border.
To come from a border town means to have the best of both worlds and the best of both cultures in this case. And I remember one of my professors, Dr. Broncano, once mentioned that Laredo is a lot like the town from Cien Años de Soledad, which is Macondo, because it's a mixture of Americanness and Mexicanness and two languages coming together and two cultures, and that makes this border town a very special place. From my Mexican culture, a mí me gusta la cultura y las leyendas, y los aztecas y los mayas y todas las pirámides y todo eso.
Bilingual, I consider myself bicultural, and I can relate to different kinds of people, I can, code switch. I can talk to, right now, the student that was in my office, I was talking to her in Spanish, and now I'm talking to you in English. So I think it allows me to connect to, more people than if I were just monolingual and monoculture, if that even exists.
The whole reason that I wanted to do that was because of my Chicano roots. So I decided to pursue that double major in English and Spanish. And I find that again, it's the whole concept of the best of both worlds. The literature in English is beautiful, and the literature in Spanish is very rich as well. And it always, the more I read in both of these languages, the more proud I am of where I come from.
There's something captivating in the Chicano lifestyle that cannot be ignored. The smell of barely baked pan dulce in the morning. The reassuring fact that the neighbor next door will always wake up early just to work one more hour on his rusty 1970 F-150, humming to some Vicente Fernandez ballads while his children chase down the yellow bus that will take them to school with their rancheras in hand. That is the Chicano culture. A sense of unity, a pride for the family's last name, and even more if it starts with a high-pronounced letter, brrr. It is the mixture of two languages when needed, a bridge that connects the picturesque humor of Don Quixote and the chasing of the American verdes in the pursuit of a better life. It is more than violence and hate. It is a multifaceted culture that cannot be ignored nor stereotyped without having a pure taste of its true sabor.